Now go through each question. I've just done this so that people don't get the same result as I when they're allocating the questions, basically by copying. So I would like you to go through and do that process yourself. So what I have done is I've allocated A or B, depending on if it is A, it is data, measurement, geometry, or space. If it's, a question is classified as B, it is number, patterns, or algebra. Okay, so basically where we are now is that we'll have to take this data. Um, there would be something that I would advise to do previously before you start this, and I will make a short video on that, and that would be to do a selection of students randomly. Some people have suggested that they've just taken the first 30 students to get their class size. I would suggest that probably if there's all surnames from A, it may not be reflective because it may actually indicate an enrichment of people from, for example, a particular culture or particular background, or culture and background, which may not be reflective of what's really going on. So I suppose I want you just to be aware that sometimes things, just like surnames, could be associated with something that is going to distort our data. So we want to really get a good selection. I'm not sure that that's the case. I mean, I've cited a culture example, and I don't know if it's even right, but I think we'd be better to use that, because if it is a cultural thing, there's a fair chance that their backgrounds are going to be quite different to some other students. So it would be nice to get an even selection that's purely random. We'll do that later in another video. I'll put that up, but I want to just try and go through and show you how to proceed. So what I'm going to do is just what I've asked you not to do, is I'm going to take the first 30 samples. Okay, you'll have a set of 30 that you'll be able to generate another way, and I'll show you quickly with that. Okay, so what we've got is we've got question 1, the allocations of A or B at the top, so say what they belong to, and we have to have 30 students. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to take that. Okay, so basically what we have is I'm going to have 32 rows. I think that's my 30 students. Okay, I'm going to take all of the questions. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that into a new sheet. So if I go there, now I'm going to just paste it a little bit down so we've got some area to work around on the sides. Okay, I'm going to use paste special. I'm going to transpose this data, which means instead of it running from left to right, it's going to run from the top to the bottom. Okay, now one thing that we'll do is while that data is selected, we can sort this data. So we can actually get it to sort based on whether we've classified it as A or B. It's the very left column, the A or B. Now what I can do is if I go into the data tab, I can click A to Z, so we'll get A up the top and B down the bottom. Okay, so what it's done is it's selected all of those and put them in. Okay, what I'd suggest at this point is it would be a good idea to copy all of that data, paste it in a separate a separate spreadsheet, I should say, for when we do our analysis for numeracy. Okay, so we'll just paste the whole lot in there. We'll go back to sheet 2. Okay, now if you want, you can rename that sheet. You can basically just right click it and rename it, and we could just call it, yeah, I'll just pull it NUME areas. Okay, so for numeracy areas, basically what we'll have to do is you'll see that these sections are classified as A, so they're from data, space, geometry, measurement, yeah, and the second lot from B onwards are questions that are related to number, patterns, or algebra. Okay, I'm going to just insert, I'm going to insert a row. Actually, I'll probably insert more than one, so that we've got space between those two. So we've actually got two little data sets now in these numeracy areas, and I'll probably just for our purposes just label it data, measure, okay, and this one is number patterns algebra. Okay, so well, we've got that. Now I'm just going to proceed with this part. I'm not going to work on both sections to show you, but the same process should occur. Okay, so basically up here, I would suggest that we insert another couple of rows so we've got a bit of space to label things. What I want you to remember though is that these are students up here. Okay, so with students, what I'll do is I'll just label it as student and a number, just so that we can remember that we've got students, and if you don't, that you don't get mixed up what we're dealing with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill that right, which will just say student, student, student. What I will also do is we'll allocate each student a number. It doesn't really matter about their identity, but it probably is just a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so that again I will fill right, but I'll do a different thing. I'll fill a series. Okay, so that basically just works out the numbers. It's already going to do it across in rows. It's going to go up linearly, and it's going to go up by ones. Okay, so that's just giving our students our numbers. There, you'll notice we have 30. That's what we're supposed to have. Okay, that's our data set for analysis. Okay, so what we have to do is I'm going to make a bit more space. I'm going to insert another row so we can actually do some calculating here. So for student 1, what we need to do is we need to tally up all the correct answers, which are indicated by a 1, for student 1 across data, measurement, space and geometry. So all of these questions were related to it. If we get a tally at the bottom by using the sum, okay, just check that it's the right cells, D5 to D21, you can see that's correct. Press enter and it will tally it up. Okay, now we want to tally for each student to see how that they went. So what I will do is I'm going to go across underneath there. I've got included the first cell that we just worked out. Okay, I can either just do sum for all of them, or what I think will probably be easier is to go across and to do fill right. Okay, so what that has done is the very bottom row has a number of for each student of how many they got right in data, measurement, space and geometry. Okay, I'm going to take that data, so I've highlighted those 30 answers. I'm going to copy them. Okay, now I'm going to make a new sheet, I think, because I think that's probably easier. You can manage it the way that you wish. Some people might wish to go and make a new sheet for numbers, patterns and algebra, and that's okay, and just work on that one sheet. In fact, I might even do that. So what I will do, it might be easier just for clarity about for people how to work with this data. So I'll get all of that number, pattern and algebra. I'm going to get it. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to make another sheet. And I'll paste it over here. Okay, now we haven't got a total for that. I'm just moving that out of the way. I'm going to rename this sheet. So I'm going to change a few things. I'm just going to call it numbers, pattern and algebra. Okay, so we've got something there. With this one, I'm not going to call it numeracy areas anymore. I think what we'll just call it is basically data, measurement, space, geometry. Okay, so that's only data for there. Then it'll probably be a bit easier and a bit less confusing. I think everyone will understand. Okay, so I've got this data. This is all of our sums. What I will do is I'm going to copy that. Now that was derived from a formula, so there's something different that we'll have to do when we paste it. So basically what I want to do with it is you can either use this up here as paste, but you'll have to choose paste special. I've right clicked. Okay, so paste special, there's two things. We want to paste the values that were derived from the formula we use, because if we just do paste as it was, it will come up with errors. Okay, the other thing is we want to transpose the data, so the thing from left to right, the sequence, we want it to go from top to bottom because it will just be easier to manage. Okay, so that is all of our data. So what we have is basically student 1's here, student 2 here, 3, 4, 5. If that's confusing to you, you can actually take this information up here and transpose that as well, and we can paste that. Okay, now we don't have to worry about using values for that because there's no formula, but we can still transpose that data. And I'll just put it here it's just a little bit away so we don't have any problems. So special, transpose the data, and there we have it. So that's for student 1. Student 1 got 7 right. Okay, I want you just to think about how many questions that we had that were part of data space management geometry. Okay, that bottom one is just the total, so that doesn't count, but we have 17. Okay, so from the 17 questions, student 1 only got 7 right. Okay, student 2 got 6 right. So you can see, as a general rule, most of those numbers are below 10, and I would think generally you would hope that we'd probably have most of the numbers above 10 if we had 17 questions to do with those topics. So really, it's probably not the greatest effort from that class. Okay, so I want you to think about that. We've got to do some data analysis with that. The first thing that I would like to do is that we need to work out a mean. Okay, now to do that, what we can do is if we go up here and highlight that cell below it, if we go to here and choose average, will tell us what the average is. Now it actually shows you the cell numbers from E25 to E54. Check that that's okay. It automatically usually gets it correct. Okay, so that means that 7.6 is the mean amount of questions that were correct from that class. So out of 17, on average, 7.6 that each student got. Now that wasn't for each student. Obviously there's variation, but the mean is 7.6. So you might want to write mean there, and also we can work out the standard deviation similarly. I'll put it here. Now we're going to have to do a little correction, so more functions. Okay, the standard deviation is here. If you have to search through, that's okay, just find it, stdev. Okay, now it's going to ask me what cells that it's working on. Now one thing that I want you to understand is we've included one extra cell because we've got a mean value there, so I'm going to put E54. I've changed it from E55 because we didn't want that to be included. I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so you can see that the data numbers went to E54 from E25. We didn't want to include the mean value in our standard deviation because that would just confuse. That would not give us an accurate result. Okay, so we've then worked out the standard deviation and mean for that data set. So basically, what standard deviation tells us that about a third of the data in something that's got a normal distribution would occur within the range that's 2.47 below, and a third would occur 2.47 above the mean. So really what we're saying, if we round it off very, very roughly, is that the mean 7.5, and 2/3 of the people in the class should get a score that ranges between 5 and 10. Okay, 5 is 7.5 minus 2.5, very rough, and the 10 is 7.5 plus 2.5. Okay, now I've really done it very crudely, but I just want to give you an idea. So that is what we need to do to calculate for that. I would expect that we could work and do a similar thing for 3 data sets. So basically we've got data measurement, space and geometry, which I've just done. We would need to do the same for number, pattern and algebra, which is on this sheet. And the same process would have to occur for all of the numeracy data, which I pasted onto an alternate sheet. Okay, so that is basically what you'll have to go on with now. So what I'll do is, at the moment, I will let you go on with that. I will, in the meantime, post up a video prior to this that explains how to randomize or randomly select students. Okay, that will be a very short one.